What if you knew a life hack that could bring instant calm whenever and wherever you need it? What if you could also use this secret weapon as a method of setting yourself up for better healing, restful sleep, and overall improved health? Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. Wellness Champion Podcast.
Breathing intentionally is a practice that's been proven to help with a number of health issues, and it helps promote good wellness. We've talked about this before. Listen to our very first podcast, episode 1, Breathing with a Purpose. There are many ways to take advantage of the miracle of breath. Today we'll dive into a few of our favorites.
I never really had any serious anxiety issues, but I do know what it's like to feel anxious. And in my past, I've had many situations where that feeling just took away from the enjoyment that I could have experienced. Or sometimes when it came to situations where I needed to perform well, I struggled. And I think many of us might share that feeling.
Absolutely.
I can remember having to speak in front of a large audience and the feeling of anxiety making my knees weak and my legs feel funny and just my voice crack. Yeah. And my voice goes up to that higher level and I just can't get the words out properly. And, after discovering intentional breathing, it's taken my, speaking practice and also my wellness journey to another level.
Awesome.
Now, we today have 3 techniques that we think you'll enjoy, especially if you're beginning out on your intentional breathing practice. So for newcomers to breath work, this is great. And for anyone who is routinely doing intentional breathing, I think maybe you already know that even when you start out with beginner techniques, they never grow old.
No. Sometimes they're in your toolbox, right, that you get to have, and you can pick and choose the ones that you want to use for different situations, whatever you so feel in that moment. And I love the fact that we have different options, that it's not one thing all of the time, and that we do have several options. So I'm excited to bring these options forward.
Yeah, we have, I don't know, I think, I haven't counted, but it's over 20 or 30 different techniques in our toolbox that we routinely use. But these are 3 really good basic ones that we want to talk about today. Box breathing, breath counting, and belly breathing, or some people call it abdominal breathing. And let's start with box breathing.
Definitely. Box breathing is also referred to square breathing. And it's a deep breathing technique that can help you slow down your breathing. And it works by distracting your mind as you count to 4 and then calming the nervous system and decreasing stress in your body. So it's a cycle. You're going to be breathing in for a count of 4, then you'd be holding for a count of 4, then you release the breath for a count of 4, and then you hold for a count of 4. And for some people in the beginning, it's a little like, wait a minute, I'm holding a lot. And that can be a little make someone a little nervous. Here you are doing breath work. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the challenge for me when I first did this, the first time I ever did this was, see, you breathe in, you hold it, you breathe out, and then there's a pause there in between the next time you take that next breath in. And that's it can be a little bit intimidating at first.
Right.
But you know what? You'll survive.
Once you go through the process a few times, it definitely gets easier. And you'll learn to not completely eliminate and release all of the breath that you have on that exhale. You have a little bit left in reserve to do the hold. So it seems a lot more challenging than it really is. So I think that we could show the way to do it.
Sure, let's do it.
I think that would be really helpful.
Yep.
So we're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We'll hold for a count of 4. We'll release for a count of 4. then we'll hold for a count of 4. So we'll do 2 rounds of it. So that way we're getting the whole technique moving through. So we're going to, so you can do the breath. I'll do the counting.
And follow along with us
Yes,
if you'd
please.
like. And in fact, please do.
So we're going to breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and that last. So if you imagine, okay, it's a box, right? Or I like to think of it as a square. And each side of the square is one of those actions we're doing: the breathing in, the holding, the releasing, and then the waiting. Yes. I think that if you're not careful, you can just simply make that the last 2 sides of the square be all one thing, where you just continue to breathe out, but that's not the point of it. The point of it is to empty your lungs out and then wait that 4 seconds and then breathe back in again. And like you were saying, there is going to be some residual breath in your lungs that will help you survive that 4 seconds. So it'll be okay. And I after having done that, and hopefully if you've followed along with us, maybe you feel the same way as I do, but I feel just those two rounds really helped kind of center me a little bit.
It does. It's very centering and grounding when you're doing intentional breathing, because we breathe all the time, but when you're intentional about it, there's a reason why we're doing it. Yeah. And that's to bring that calm.
Yeah, exactly. And the technique itself, when you're concentrating on the count, it's distracting your mind. So it's calming your nervous system. And it's just overall decreasing stress in your body.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the next one?
Well, we have breath counting.
Breath counting.
Breath counting is really great because it helps focus the mind and calm the body. And it's really good for a starter. I know for myself, I had a very hard time with breathing and meditation when I first started out. So the breath counting was huge for me. That really made a difference for me. And so I like to do that breath counting, which was similar to the box breathing. But we're not going in a square. We're just going to be breathing in and breathing out for the counts.
Right. Okay. So we're just going to take one breath in, one breath out. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's the breath counting, and it's very simple. That's why it's good for starter. It really is good for starting out. So we're going to breathe in. We can do it for a count of 4 in and then a release. You can count out 6. It's really good to have that release when you're breathing. To have a little longer than the breath in. That's why I love the breath counting. So we'll do 4 breaths in, and then we will release for 6 counts.
You mean a count of 4 for the breathing in?
Yes.
And then,
breathe in for 4, release for 6.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, great. So get your hands on your palms, whatever is comfortable for you, or you can do it at heart center, whatever's comfortable for you. And so Bill will do the breathing and I will do the counting.
Okay.
All right. Just for this, normally you would be doing the counting yourself in your mind, but I'm going to be doing this for this so that to help you and instruct you and to guide you through the process. So you're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Very good.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple. And you can do this for several rounds. And it will help you stay focused because you're counting in your mind.
Right.
That makes the difference for you. For me, personally, when I did that, that was the best way to start breathing because I wasn't familiar with it. I didn't really know how.
It's a good way to test out, too, to kind of get familiar with the counts that are comfortable for you.
Yeah.
For example, you can start out by breath counting without any count in mind, like without a number in mind, but just simply start counting as you breathe in until you reach where you're. Now, there's different types of breathing. There's breathing in your chest, right, where you fill your lungs up, just way up in your chest, or there's abdominal breathing where you make your belly
big
expand.
Right, which we're going to be talking about.
Yep. And so either way, doesn't matter. But when you do that, when either your belly is fully expanded or your chest is fully expanded, that's when you stop your count. So it's kind of like testing, okay, well, what is my count? Something like that too. The breath counting is great for that. Just to get familiar with, what your length of an entire full breath is and out.
Yeah, we want you to be comfortable. We're just giving you these guidelines, but you're at complete choice as to how long or short you want those breaths to be. We're just giving this as a guideline.
Right.
So the third one we have, which you briefly mentioned, was the belly breathing, and that helps calm the mind and reduce stress. And it works by focusing your breath on your abdomen and filling your belly. And I had a hard time with this at first, because I feel I've been sensitive about my belly. Now I've learned to ease into that technique and really, really breathing that life and that breath into that belly and expanding it. And it does take focusing, concentration on doing this.
Right.
So we can do this with counting. We can do 5-5-5 count with this, with belly breathing, if you wanted to do that.
You want to do a 5-5-5 with the belly? Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, we could do that.
That's going to be breathing in for a count of 5, holding for a count of 5, and releasing for a count of 5.
Yeah, we'll do one round of that just to get used to
absolutely.
it. And we invite you to follow right along with us.
And I do invite you to also put your hands on your belly so you can really feel it expand. And that's where your focus is going to be when you're taking that breath in, is putting it on your belly, right? So we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and you'll notice too that when you do the belly breathing and you're holding it, it's a whole different sensation than when you're holding it in your lungs. Like when you fill your lungs, it's a different sensation to hold your breath that way than it is to hold your breath when you're doing abdominal breathing. And it's interesting, I think, how we get kind of familiar with the different muscle groups in our thoracic region.
100%.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I hope everyone did. The belly breathing has a lot of benefits that affect your entire body.
Right.
In fact, belly breathing is the basis for many meditation and relaxation techniques that you'll learn later on if you haven't already started. And this can lower your stress levels, lower your blood pressure.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And, it actually, the abdominal breathing is a key to regulating a lot of your other bodily functions.
Digestion as well.
Yes, digestion is one of them. Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Huge. Yeah. So it's a good technique to especially in the beginning, it's a good technique to kind of learn for yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. If you're new to breath work, these are some good beginner techniques to use. But one of the great things about intentional breathing is how you never outgrow the technique. There's no need to graduate to other techniques when you have found some that serve you well. I personally have a few that I love that it's like my home base that I go back to over and over again. And there are some that I have picked up along the way that I do enjoy, but those beginner techniques really are a staple in my toolbox that I use.
Yeah, I totally agree. Same with me. There are certain ones that I learned way back in the beginning of when I first was turned on to intentional breathing, and they're still my go-tos, like the 5-5-5. I love that.
Right.
We'd love to hear about your favorite techniques for intentional breathing. So join us at htnforyou.com. That's our private online community for connection and conversation about all things wellness and self-care. If you have a special story about how intentional breathing has helped you, or maybe you're struggling with intentional breathing and you'd like some advice, then we'd love to hear from you. So go to htnforyou.com and join our community.